Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here. It is Xur Day and Xur has arrived on IO in Giant Scar. If you guys didn't catch the last word this morning, lots of stuff to talk about with this week at Bungie's article. We went a little more in depth on the sunsetting of weapons and talking about that, which has the community fairly divided. Some like, some don't like, definitely some opinions on that one. Also the quest, of course, for the Lies, this big community event, and people are not really a fan. So we had a pretty cool discussion. Definitely check that one out. I'll tell you more at the end. But for now, we gotta see what Tentacle Face has to offer.
You changed.
Alright, so of course you do have the exotic engram. Remember, this can get you at least a good possible roll when it comes to the stat department. One thing to make note of, when we get into Season 11, which is going to be starting on June 9th, I believe is the day, Xur, when he comes in, is actually going to have random rolls in here, so chances at good rolls. So definitely, if you aren't subscribed to the channel yet, get subscribed. So in about 3 or 4 weeks, when these things start actually having good rolls on them, might be able to let you guys know, hey, this thing's got an amazing stat roll jump in here. So stay tuned for those. But right now, let's cover the gear that he does have for sale this week. All right, so the first thing we've got is the D.A.R.C.I sniper rifle. The perk here is Personal Assistant. Aim at an enemy to view its health and other crucial information in the scope. Now, the main perk we're actually going to probably care a bit more. When Personal Assistant is active, this weapon has better target acquisition and deals significantly more precision damage, which is like 4x. It does a crap ton of damage. This thing also in reserves can hold, I want to say it's almost like 20, 22, 24, 28, depending on what reserve perks you have. So it's able to put out a lot of damage. More people will probably still say Whisper has better DPS and those things, but it is still a pretty cool sniper rifle. And also, for those who like to do testing or just curious about things when it comes to ranges, this thing in the scope will actually give you the range you are from an enemy. So if you're curious about how far this weapon is effective, you can actually do some of your own testing. So this weapon's actually very possible for people who kind of like to do their own research, but unfortunately I don't think it's very high in anybody's metas. So it's more of a add to collection, use if you're doing research, but it doesn't get a whole lot of love otherwise. So more of a collection piece. I don't see a lot of people using it currently. Kind of sad, kind of a cool weapon. When you aim down sights and have that, Personal Assistant on a boss, you can dump some damage. It's not terrible, but there's definitely a lot of things lately that have outshined this thing a lot. So more a collection edition at this point, unless it gets a buff later on. For the Hunter, we've got the 6th Coyote. Very simple perk. Double dodge. Gain a second dodge charge. If you are a hunter who likes the dodging for either the reload or going invisible or any and all the benefits for dodging, you have 2. So if you're a hunter that likes to do that, now again, using this, you're going to be giving up something like the Wormhusk Crown. So there are other ones that people would probably prefer to use. But if dodges are your friend, you like to go invisible a lot, things like that, you get your second dodge, some people definitely will find some use of this. It's got some potential in the right hands. Just depends on how much you like dodging and how much your build is set up around taking advantage of that. But double dodge, pretty straightforward perk here for the hunters on 6 Coyote. Not a bad one, but again, all depends on if you like it. It's pretty simple. For the Titans, a pretty popular set of legs for PvP, the Dunemarchers. Your perk here is linear actuators. Increases sprint speed, which alone, each class only has 1 of these. So if you want to run faster, especially in something like PvP to cover ground, these are pretty popular. Sprinting builds up a static charge. After melee attacking an enemy, that charge will chain to nearby enemies. So potentially, if you pair this thing with something like shoulder charge, you get that melee attack off, you get the chain to other people, and you can run faster. They are pretty potent, honestly. So if you haven't tried these before as a Titan, definitely make sure you add these to your collection. Mess around with them, running faster, get that chaining melee. After you get that melee attack, it's actually pretty cool. So Dunemarchers for the Titans, if you're missing these, definitely add these into your collection. Give them a run. They're actually pretty good. For the Warlocks, we've got the Claws of the Ahamkara. We've got the Whispers, gain an additional melee charge. Pretty straightforward. And it really just depends on, again, if your build is, using the melee abilities like Celestial Fire, if you like that one. These were probably a bit more popular when Handheld Supernova was around because that thing is actually really strong, but having a backup charge of that, depending on if you miss it or it doesn't quite work, definitely can have some benefits if that's part of your build and your playstyle. So an additional melee Claws of the Ahamkara, again, mostly depending on your playstyle, but also try and add these to your collection so as you do buy the exotic engram from Xur, you're able to take advantage of that thing continually, like completing your list. So you're really trying to get all the exotics you can. And the more that you own, the quicker you'll be able to acquire the other ones. So if you don't have it, you've got the shards, definitely buy any and of all these that you may be missing. So that pretty much wraps it up for Xur. So again, don't forget your exotic engram. Always have your options in there. And of course, for your armor and weapons that he's selling, mostly collection editions this week. Nothing too stand out. Dunemarchers is pretty good. The other two are basically if you like, you know, dodging and melees. It's up to you. But as I said, if you guys didn't catch the Last Word this morning, the podcast that I am part of, had a really good chat this morning with my co-host, and chat was actually really good. There's a lot to discuss between sunsetting, quests going on, what the future is going to look like, what's happening in year 4. Lots of stuff to discuss there, so stay tuned for that one. If you haven't subbed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe button and the alert bell. I'll keep the content coming to you guys. This video, podcast, future Xur videos when he has random rolls. You guys can also find me on Twitch and Twitter. It is Ebontis on both, EBONTIS. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Have a great one. Enjoy your weekend, and get out there and try and do at least a couple of those public events for the Lie quest, because they should, at this point, be 10x counting. So every public event that you do counts for 10. So the thing should start moving quickly. Hopefully you finish it this weekend, and I'll get you guys as much info as I can about the Lie quest when it is done. So have a good one. I'll see you soon. Enjoy your weekend.